Good. And we are live and on the air. And I'm Ed Dyer. Joining me is Ulysses Adkins. We're hijacking the Minion Science Island to talk about politics. Election 2016. A lot more fun than science, probably. A lot more ranting and raving, undoubtedly.
I don't. If you like to pull your eyeballs out and stuff your ears, this is the chat show for you.
I was expecting a couple more people, but may not be here. I was going to have everyone introduce themselves, but I think basically anybody watching us knows us. Ain't no Trump supporters in this crowd.
No, I'm gonna have to be fair and balanced somehow.
I started out as a Goldwater conservative. First person I voted for president, Barry Goldwater.
Wow.
Started out as a loser right off the bat.
We all know how it turned out.
I think the last Republican president I voted for was Ronald Reagan. And I voted pretty much Democrat for president after that. I'm now, however, I went from being a Republican to a conservative, now a Bernie Sanders independent. I vote Republican, Democratic in federal elections, but I still vote Republican in general in the local elections.
Yeah.
How about you, Ulysses?
Who's the first person? I started out as a Republican. I think Herbert Walker Bush is the first person I voted for. And then I voted Republican until I voted for,
So memorable, you can't even.
I know. I'm blanking. The car guy. Well,
I know that
Ralph Nader. I voted for Ralph Nader.
Oh, okay.
And then I somehow along the way became more progressive, and I voted for Bush the son, and I voted against him the second election because I said this is crazy. So that's when I really started turning to become more progressive, socially, some economically. I still believe you should have some sort of balance in your budget, but now it's just crazy. Both parties do whatever they want anymore, it seems.
So who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to be our next president?
So
I'm going to go out. Oh, go ahead.
I should call up Maryland Live and see who's got the lowest odds of winning, and then we'll place a bet there. What do you think? We should check these gambling casinos because they always carry odds on who's going to win the presidency.
I think we can vote. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take a chance here. I can take a wild guess and say somehow our next president won't have a Y chromosome. Going to go out on a limb. First time ever. It'd be the first time ever that we will have a female president. A whole bunch of polls and stuff. The Electoral College is what counts, and that's where Clinton has a huge edge. And just looked at the New York Times, and Clinton's got an 84% chance of winning according to them. So I'm going to say Clinton. What do you say, Ulysses?
Well, being a rational human being, I would choose Clinton too, but there are a lot of people that are just left behind and would rather see the whole thing burn. And that's why they support Trump, regardless of his racist ways, worldviews, and cavalier attitude about nuclear weapons.
What do you think are the chances? Put a number. What are the chances? What are the odds Trump could win?
Michigan is looking really, really bad for Hillary right now. If she did not win it in the primary, you have a lot of ticked off people that, no fault of their own, were left behind when we had this last Great Recession. Jobs are leaving Michigan was a big industrial state. It's not anymore. You see the Flint water crisis. People are suffering, and on both sides of the aisle, nobody can come together and do anything, and that's mostly because of redistricting and gerrymandering keeps extreme people elected that don't want to work. So it makes it hard for people to see the government actually working. So you're going to have a lot of ticked off people. This will be a close election. I think it'll be a lot closer than, except for in Florida, where you have an extremely huge turnout of Latino voters that are probably pro-Clinton, and minority voters that are going to be pro-Clinton. I don't think you're going to see the numbers as high as you did with Obama. For whatever reason, he brought out that segment of the population, motivated them. They voted for him twice. I don't think Hillary's going to get as many supporters as he did to come out and support her. But I think it's looking pretty good for her. Like I said, it's all about Michigan and Ohio. I'm pretty sure she's got Florida wrapped up in the bag. Everybody says she has Virginia here wrapped up in the bag. I know it's pretty close. There's a lot of people that work in D.C. here that don't want to see Trump in office because that would be horrible for their jobs and positions. So I'm gonna have to go with you. I think it's going to be a Hillary victory. I'd like to see it as a landslide and bringing along some Senate seats with her, but who knows? I think it's going to be pretty close. I don't think it's going to be as big a victory as people are going to say it is.
Okay. I think she's going to wind up with 400 electoral.
You really think she's going to get that many?
Yeah. Even if she
325 maybe.
Okay. You need 270 to win. Even if as in the country as a whole, she only wins by, let's say, 5%. Her edge in the big states, the cities where you've got the big cities, is going to mean that she'll win. Even let's see, she takes California by 1,000 votes or 100,000 votes. Less than 1%. She wins the whole state.
Yeah, she's going to win. She's going to win the Western Coast states. She'll win all of those. She'll win New York State. She's going to win Florida. North Carolina might be interesting. If she wins that one, the night will be over with. And we'll have to see early voting. If Trump loses North Carolina and Georgia's super tight, I can go to bed knowing that she wins the election. Because that just tells you where the wind's blowing. But she's going to win. I think she's going to take Pennsylvania. She'll take New York. She'll probably take Virginia. I'm kind of weirded out by Michigan and Ohio, but there's been a lot of early voting, so maybe that's a good sign. Usually Democrats and Democratic supporters come out in early voting. You don't see Republicans doing that. So maybe you're right. Maybe 400. Maybe 400 electoral votes. I could be wrong.
It would be a shock if it was even close. You need 270 to win. I would be shocked if Trump got even over 250 of the electoral votes. That would be a shock to me.
Polling data is not as accurate as it used to be because people are calling landlines, and hardly anybody has landlines anymore. And like the election of Tim Kaine as our not Tim Kaine, but of our governor, Terry McAuliffe, they thought he had it in the bag, and it was a few thousand votes, like 5,000 votes separate. So they had to do a recount, and had they been polling correctly, the RNC would have thrown money in the state, and they would have won the state. So,
yeah, and the polls. And there's probably only a few I pay attention to, like it's the Pew Research Center. New York Times is okay. but they all have a margin of error. So let's say right now, from what I've seen in general, Clinton's got a 3% lead in the polls, but with that margin of error, that could easily really mean 8–10%. So even though that poll number says it's 3, it could be Trump leading, or it could be Clinton winning by 8 percentage points. You know, there's a lot of leeway in that poll number.
Maybe the other.
So that's why I don't think they're that much. You know, they give you an idea.
But what I'm seeing is like the early voter. I think the rhetoric that has been thrown out by the Trump campaign has really spurred on those who are minority voters. I really do think that had helped Clinton a lot. Now, whether she's going to get African American support, she didn't fare too well, you know, and the millennial voters, and that's who you got to worry about. I don't know, Ed.
Well, obviously, a lot of African American voters went out with Obama.
Yeah,
they came out in droves. But still, I think when I'm early voting, record numbers of early voting, it's an amazing. In some states, 3/4 of the registered voters have already voted.
Yes.
So it's an amazing number. Points to a record number of votes cast. The more votes that are cast favors the Democrats. So even if you have some areas that they came out originally, you know, for Obama, but they're certainly not going to go for Trump. And I think with the voter registration drives and things I've seen by the Democrats, you're still going to see high vote counts for minority areas. Hispanic votes. There are some areas where Hispanics might actually go for Trump, which you don't quite understand, but that's what some people are playing.
Well,
but still,
you have to give it up for Hillary too. And I'm going back on my word, but she does have a good ground game. And
oh yeah,
she has way more staff on the ground. I haven't really seen it. I know where the Democratic headquarters is for Culpeper because I drive by it, but I don't see a lot. I don't know if there was anybody door to door. They haven't been in our neighborhood. Of course, I have seen a lot more. At the beginning of this race, I saw a lot of Trump signs. As within the last month, I've seen a lot more Hillary signs go up in Virginia, which is kind of rare. I thought that was a good sign, even though she won't carry the rural counties in this state. That's where Trump will win. He'll probably carry this county. He'll carry Fauquier County, points west and south. He won't get Richmond. He won't get Prince William County. He won't get Alexandria and all the major cities around here. So that where your population base is.
Did Virginia go for Obama last time?
They did the first time. I don't think they did the second time. Oh no, they did the second time. They voted for Obama the first time in North Carolina and not the second time. I think they went for Romney. I mean, I'd have to Google that, but let's see.
Yeah, I think under normal circumstances, if you didn't have, you know, Trump really stirring up so many Democrats and liberals, I think, you know, if the Republicans had come out with somebody other than Trump, I don't know who, maybe Ryan or, you know.
Oh man, if they'd have come with
then it would have been a really close election.
Romney would have defeated her hands down, but I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, Obama carried Virginia in 2012 and 2008. He carried North Carolina in 2008, but he didn't in 2012. And he carried Florida both times. I'm looking at the map right now. He actually carried New Mexico. But if she could flip Arizona, my mind will be blown. She's gonna get Nevada because of the Hispanic voter there. Now Obama lost Indiana the second time, so that may stay red. Let's see if I could screen share. Screen share.
I was going to screen share the New York Times, but you beat me to it.
Oh, no. Am I screen share?
No, you're not.
I can't tell. Let's see.
Got to go to the little green arrow.
Yeah. I
hit share.
Let's see.
And then move over to the picture you want to see.
Oh, I got to open up a new window. All right. Well, anyway, to keep talking.
Okay, let me. Oh, there you go.
Here it is. Here's his 2012 path to victory, which I think it'll be closer for Hillary than it is for 2012 because she's just so. And I don't think people understand that because of the healthcare rates are going up. It's two reasons. You've got the healthcare industry is dominated by the insurance industry, and they're causing a lot of this. Secondly, if we did away with it, you wouldn't have mandated health coverage. So there is that. I think people forget. But man, if she can flip Arizona and North Carolina, they've painted her as anti-coal, so she won't carry West Virginia. And they're saying she's struggling in Minnesota and Michigan. See, Michigan and Ohio, those are big states. And if she loses those, I don't know, that's 10 and 16 and 18 in Ohio. So if she loses Ohio and Michigan, so that's 34. She would still be at she'd still be over 270, but it would be she'd have two. If she had Obama's 2012 map, she would be at 296. Which she would still win.
Now I'm looking at the New York Times. Okay, just the New York Times, just one. And I look at the state-by-state breakdown, and the one on the right would be much more Republican. Texas. Outside of Texas, there isn't anything what I would call a large state. Somewhat Republican still. Really Texas. Texas looks like the one big state that will go Republican.
Yes.
Now on the other side, I mean, you got California, New York, Illinois, Michigan. New York Times says she's going to carry Michigan by 7 points.
I don't know. I mean, all the national polls are saying she's trailing.
Pennsylvania's a toss-up, maybe.
New York Times is different, so I haven't looked at there.
And it's, it's just the New York Times. So I'm not sure any one of these polls are any better than the other. My go-to place for polls, and I haven't looked at it recently, is the Pew Research Center. And they're the only ones that I know of that use scientifically valid statistical sampling techniques. All the other ones, Fox and even the Times and whatever, they've got, I don't know, like you say, it's a landline call, I don't know what it is. But the only one I know that uses scientifically valid statistical sampling is the Pew Research Center. Now, I don't know what, in fact, let me go to. Let me do that right now. Pew Research research polls. All right. And let me see if I can find U.S. politics. They don't. I'm on the site and they don't really show me a number or anything.
Well, that's good.
They talk about different issues and stuff, but they don't really. No, okay, that didn't work out. Oh well. I see them quoted in other publications. Doesn't make any difference. The main thing is, one, I think everybody would be shocked if Trump were to win. So, well, I'm going to just say I'm going to call it for Clinton. Now, the deal with the majority comes into play in places like the Senate and the House.
Yes.
House, the Republicans have, I think, a 30-vote majority, and through gerrymandering in places like Texas, they're very strongly likely to hang on to a majority in the House of Representatives. So it's the Senate. The Senate's in play.
The Senate's in play so much as it wouldn't have been in play had Trump not been the top of the ticket. Kelly Ayotte is now kind of in a bad position where she was stronger. Let's see who else. Shoot. But anyway, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to blast the House free of Republican control. Not the way districts are set up now.
Oh, I think they can. If Clinton gets in, now in the let's say the Democrats take control of the Senate, and the problem for the Republicans is, out of, I think, what, 33? Normally it'd be 33 people running, 33 seats open. I think there's a couple of retiring people. So maybe there's 35 seats open. 24 of them are Republican. So the Republicans are defending a lot more seats than the Democrats are. So this would be the perfect setup for the Democrats. Not really doing as well as they thought they could do.
Yeah.
But if they pick up 4 more seats means it's 50-50, and then they got the vice president to break a tie. That's at least something. If they pick up 5 or 6 seats, and it's going to be close, now they control the presidency and they control the Senate, and now they can start implementing legislation. The legislation works. Everybody's happy with the Democrats. But in 2018,
I mean, they
got a shot.
I think what the Democratic Party needs to do is what the Republican Party's been doing, was focusing on local state races and controlling the Senate houses, the state houses and state senates, because they're the one that's writing the gerrymandering. And they've been so successful at it that managed to block everything in Congress. What did they only work 48 days this year of this entire year? The Congress has under Republican control, which is what, the lowest they've ever worked, the least amount of days they've ever worked. But people don't see it that way. I don't understand, and that's just me maybe, but they don't see how badly the Republican leadership is. And maybe that's why they're voting for Trump, because they're, as my dad says, they're pissed off with Republican leadership. They're not tough enough. They're all taking money, and Trump doesn't need money. He can't be bribed. But apparently he can share a server with the Russians, and we won't know it that he's bribed by the Russians because he won't share his tax returns with us to see where his income's coming from. I'm speculating now. I mean, we could talk about the issues.
We can get into that. But the thing is, the Democrats are organized. Bernie Sanders is behind Clinton. Bernie Sanders shows every sign of being willing to work within the Democratic Party. Now you look at the electorate. 40% of the electorate are independents. Bernie Sanders brings in the independents. If Bernie Sanders continues to work and his supporters within the Democratic Party, you've got a united party that can even draw an independence. You go to the Republicans, they are deeply divided party. Number one, you got Trump. Trump's for Trump. He don't care. He don't care about the party. He don't care about anybody else. A lot of his supporters, Trump goes away, they go away. So the Republicans who now might gain more support because Trump is part of the ticket and the independents come in to support Trump, Trump goes, many of them going to go. And now you're stuck with the centralist Republicans and the right wing, the Tea Party people. And the Tea Party people and the right wing have been controlling the party.
Yes.
I saw an article, you're talking about the House. The people, the Republicans who are losing are the centralist Republicans. The people in the conservative right wing Tea Party, they're not losing. They've got their constituency or they're going to vote for them no matter what. So how are the Republicans going to work together? And if they can't, you've got a very united Democratic Party against a split Republican Party. And you're right, the Republicans have focused on local elections, but that could quite easily change. And particularly if the Democrats get that at least 50-50 split, they can really start implementing some programs, assuming they work. I really think 2018, 2018, there's only 8 Republicans up for re-election. So it's going to be hard for the Democrats to gain much there. 2018 is where they can get control of the House. My prediction is Republicans gain control of the Senate now. They gain control of the House 2018.
I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you this. The Democratic National Committee is not flush with cash like the RNC was. They don't fund these state races as well as they should. And so they don't win these state races. They don't win the local representative. At least in Virginia, they don't. And I don't see it. Maybe it's because Debbie Wasserman Schultz was just a really, really poor leader. Maybe there's something to it that I don't know that she did, but she didn't play along with Obama too well. So I don't think Donna Brazile is even any much better. So I'm glad you're positive. Maybe I'm reading the tea leaves wrong.
Well, you're right in that the Democrats have to do a better job at the local level. That's true.
They have a horrible record at local.
I'm in one of the bluest states in the country, Connecticut. Locally, I'm in more of a blue-collar town, and I vote Republican. Our Republican mayor is just better organized than the Democratic mayor is. So even in a blue state like Connecticut, and me, who's drifting more towards liberalism, I still vote for the Republican local candidate. So you're right. The Democrats have got to get their act together better at the local level.
This is just me from my observation. When I was active in the Democratic Party, you have a lot of intelligent people, but none of them are running for office. As in the Republican Party, they got more people than they can deal with running for local office. So it's hard because you have intelligent people. They bring good ideas, but it's just a little bit too over the head of most farmers. It smacks of socialism way too much.
But is that true? Take farming. Okay. Farmers in 2016 have to use modern equipment and modern technology. All of the best farmers do. And so I think you're going to see, you pick any industrial area, any kind of job, let's say, where it used to be, I think I'll say older. It used to be the 50-year-olds and they're hanging on and kids left. And so you had a constituency that favored the Republican Party. But I'm not so sure that's the case with the young.
No, you're right.
The young farmers.
The demographics have switched. You've got these millennials that are, born in 1995 or whatever, and they don't necessarily conform to our conventional political thought. And I think they think outside the box of what's going to work, because they see nothing working now. They see gridlock in our government. They see corruption. They see climate change. They see inaction on that. We're the only nation that doesn't do anything. So you're right. Something's going to give, and they're all screaming third party because they've seen what the two-party system has offered us, and it's bad. But this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Is politics is a game, and you have to. It's a strategic game, and granted, I would like to vote for a third-party candidate, but there's not enough people that's going to do it, and you would get Trump because the conservatives are not going to vote intellectually; they're going to go for their candidate. Just how they work. They have hive mentality. So what do you think? I mean, do you think if you're pissed off about Hillary, which no, I don't think, she's very unlikable, do you vote for a third party and try and make a difference? Or right now it's too late. You've got 40 million people that's already voted. So if you went third party, if 40 million people went third party today, Trump would win the election. But maybe next cycle, do you vote for a third party? Do you have a better ground game as a third party candidate? Put somebody up there that's not Gary Johnson and more Bill, what's his last name? Waden?
If you look at the resume of the guy who's running on the Libertarian ticket as the vice president.
Yeah, Bill.
I even forget the guy's name.
Bill.
He's not an off the wall.
He's not off the wall.
Of a guy. He's a smart guy. He's got a very good record.
And he's even come out to endorse Clinton.
I mean, he was in the Justice Department. He won 109 out of 111 corruption cases when he was with the Justice Department. He was nominated for some office, I don't remember where. The Republican at that time didn't support him because they said he was too liberal. They said he supported gay rights and all the rest of it. So this guy, if he had, well, the Libertarians are not organized enough, so no way could he, he couldn't do anything this election. He would draw votes. The Libertarians will draw votes from the right, not from the left. But if a third party candidate like that, a guy who's got a good resume that you could look at, and a guy who is, liberal on some issues and conservative on the others, so to speak, a guy who really seemed like this guy sounded more trustworthy to me than Clinton does.
Yeah. And if he was on the top of the ticket, the millennials would be voting for him in droves.
Well, they'd get more. Bernie Sanders gets the liberal independents.
Yeah.
And libertarians get the conservative.
Hillary screwed up and not picked him as the vice. I mean, I know you would have lost the seat in the Senate, but she really screwed up not picking him as her vice president.
Maybe.
I mean, he's great on the campaign trail. You can't deny that.
As long as he's working for her. I don't know that. I don't think who the vice president is, the candidate. I don't think that makes practically any difference at all unless it's a real nut job. as long as half. I mean, I forget who the heck did Trump pick.
Pence is.
I don't know. I can't see that guy drawing.
He's a nut job. He's
Kane and Pence.
One of the most
which is which.
Abortion guys out there.
So.
And Kane is the most milquetoast candidate you could have picked.
Yeah, he's either. Well, she picked Kane because of his political connections, right? Isn't he from?
He's from Virginia.
Virginia, so that's where she picked him.
But he's not the most well-loved governor we've had, so it's not like it's a huge benefit for her. But hey, I mean,
that's why she did it. She's thinking like an old-time.
She is. She's very old school.
Politician.
This is conventional politics versus the most unconventional candidate we've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think even in the Democratic Party, they're run by old school people.
Yeah.
To a large extent.
And all parties are like that.
And
You don't come up through the ranks, then you've got to have earn your way into the party. It's just like
what Trump did in the Republican Party, Sanders was almost never going to do with the Democratic Party because of the way in which the primaries were set up. You have too many states that don't accept independent voters.
Yeah.
As long as that's the case, Democratic machine's got the edge. And until that's where the Democrats, I think, should change. Unless the old school want to maintain control, the Clintons, the Obamas, as long as they want to maintain control, then yes, they don't have to change how they set up the primaries. But if they really want to win the votes, they should have all state primaries open to independent voters. If they do that, they'll be much better off. The Republicans do that much better than the Democrats do. Republicans have, I think almost all their states are open. Not sure, but I know most of them are. Whereas in the Democratic side, it's almost 50-50. You got to draw the independents.
Yeah. Well, that's what's setting people off.
The independents.
Like Virginia, you have to declare your affiliation to one party or the other to vote in their primaries. Even if you're an independent, you have to say, well, I'm a Democrat, and you have to stay a Democrat for the year. So nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, that's stupid.
So that's alienating a lot of potential voters.
Yes, it would. No, I think if the Democrats if the Republicans keep control of the Senate as they do the House, you've got a split government. You've got a greater likelihood of an inactive, stalemated government that plays into the hands of the third parties, which you were talking about in the beginning.
Yeah.
That scenario plays into the part of the third parties. You're more likely to see more people supporting a third party or more than one third party. Yet then I can see, yes, I can see eventually 10 years, 15 years, I can see a third party that gets 15-20% of the vote, get people elected to the Senate and becomes a real legitimate party and a real legitimate contender for the presidency. That could happen.
You'd have to have somebody who's got credentials and is credible. Take like Mark Cuban, for instance. If he wanted to run, he's got enough money to start his own third party and do it. I think what hurts a third party is they don't have enough. They don't have any infrastructure.
Clinton's got a ton of money behind her. She's got a ton of Democratic money behind her.
Oh, I'm talking about independent runs.
Independent. No, they don't.
Independent. If you wanted a third party,
they don't even run in every state.
You really need to start right now, and you have to look long term. You need to start an organization that's grassroots to work in these local states, to spread the word somehow, to get more help. You'll get more than 15%, but you need to have ground game like Clinton does. But if you have somebody that's not got her stigmatism, say like I said, Mark Cuban might be a good thing. He's always in the news because he hates Trump. He would probably win the presidency. But the only problem is everything you've ever done is now and ever said is going to be posted online for the world to see. So smart people don't run for office, and that's who we need. And I talked to Patrick, and when I went to Baltimore, and our elections drag on way too long, and I think they talked about this on some news I covered. If we shorten it up to only 6 months, maybe we'd be better than the 2 years it drags off on. I don't know. I think anything to shorten this cycle. Granted, you don't really get to know the candidates, but I think it's in our psyche now, and it's destroying our country. Everything's 100% my way or your way. Maybe that's another remedy for that.
Okay, the longer or shorter campaign. There's a lot of good reasons for having a shorter campaign, and it works where you've got a parliamentary government where it's always the party. The party means everything. The party picks the prime minister, period. So all you do is you vote for the party. It's a lot simpler. But a longer primary helps the independent because it gets their name. You have the primary, you're going to have televised debates. And so the money becomes less important if you can go before those debates in every state. And now your independent person can, like Sanders, can get his name before the public, can get his legislation before the public. The Republicans, that's the only reason Trump won.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, you had 16 Republicans, 15 dummies, and one guy who was yelling out, "Stop the Mexicans, build the wall, build the wall."
Yeah, he played to the base.
He just build the wall, build the wall.
He didn't care. He didn't
want the other 15 people. But he could only do that because it was long primary season. If it had been a short primary, the Democratic establishment would have come and said, and they would have united much more quickly. They would have recognized him as a problem much more quickly. They'd have kicked him out. They'd have joined against them in that third debate, and they would have done something, and they would have kicked him out, I think. I think it was a long primary season that allowed him to get better and better traction.
But look at the drawbacks to the long, better season.
Oh, yeah, there are.
I mean, and going back to the
money,
to debates, oh, yeah, money's the huge. You can't keep up a sustained campaign for a long time. You can't it's impossible. And then going back to the debates, I don't think these presidential elections help us with just 3 debates. I mean, I say we go back to Lincoln Douglas and debate like every other day. I mean, they debated for like a month straight. I mean, and it's brilliant for what they were arguing. And that gets just a better discourse going, and you have better policy formulation after that.
Well, you could do it online. I mean, the thing is, I don't know about Trump. He's just completely different.
Well,
like Clinton, she's got to get out and beat the Bush.
Yeah, she doesn't touch
states. And again, we're getting back to the electoral state thing where you've got a campaign in 50 states. You just campaign, nationally.
Yeah.
You've got a campaign in at least 50 states or at least the important 30 states. Well, I don't know if you can do that and have a debate every night. Maybe you could. I don't know. I think the internet's going to change everything. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we're already seeing, I think the internet, the ability to get your message out helps. It means you don't have to spend money on television advertisements anymore. The television ads are going to become less and less important. And it's going to be using social media. Barack Obama, perfect example. The guy was the first president who really took advantage of the internet.
It was
Obama. And I think that, so maybe that's going to make a big difference. So the ability to use social media to get your message out more quickly,
what you'll need
more easily for less money. I mean, if you can come up with little
you need to elect people
and it goes viral, you're golden.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. It's going to be amazing. The two of us will live to see some incredible changes.
Oh yeah,
in how we elect people.
But you'll have to support people who believe in a cheap, almost free internet for everybody that's high enough speed for it to be usable. And then we don't always have candidates like that. We've got conservative people that think it should be all private. So you still have to elect people to keep your idea going.
Well, what you have to do is, how many, I don't know. Okay, I can see if the people with the poor bandwidth or no bandwidth are in the older generation. I'm not sure that the older generation now really favors one party or the other. They would favor the Republicans more than they would the Democrats.
We know that
Um,
kids who don't have good bandwidth or access to it really suffer. They can't keep up at school. They don't get the equal education. And we haven't made it free or cheap like the rest of the European nation has. I mean, it's sad when Europe is ahead of us in many aspects. But
that's because
that's another discussion.
Their money, their internet is funded by taxpayer dollars, not profitability. Our internet is funded through profitability, corporations, private enterprise. Now that means one thing, they can innovate more quickly than government can. But the bad thing is, like you say, the government, as long as the citizens are willing to pay taxpayer money, not them damn Tea Party people, they ain't gonna go for that. But assuming the government does get the support of the people, then yes, they have better mass transit, taxpayer dollars, better internet, taxpayers' dollars. But before that happens, we would have to have a fundamental change in our capitalist system, where it's owned by private internet services or private corporations, and profitability counts. And if you're in some little old city, some country, 50 people, they're not going to build no stupid link to you. The government might force them to at some point, but they're not going to do it. It's going to take them kicking and dragging before they're going to lose money by building cables out in remote areas. But maybe it all goes to Wi-Fi, satellite Wi-Fi.
We'll see.
No more cables.
Just all right. So let
me ask you this: should we keep the Electoral College?
And go to direct elections.
Direct vote.
I kind of agree with that. I agree because you're at a point where you'll have a revolution if a popular person is picked and they pick somebody else, quite like Gore versus Bush. I think we're to the point where you've got angry people who think the government is no good. So I think getting rid of the Electoral College is a good thing. Or not a good thing, but it should be done. I mean, granted, maybe we ought to elect smart people to choose us but then you'll have a parliamentary system. Do you think that's holdover?
I don't want a parliamentary system. Now let me read from a little. I picked up a couple of paragraphs from our friend Wikipedia.
I see that.
And did you know that except for Maine and Nebraska, all states have a winner-take-all election since 1880s? I did not know that Maine and Nebraska didn't have winner-take-all. Each state, the electors are pledged to a candidate. Now, the key word there is pledged. They are not legally bound.
They're not bound to do it. That's one thing that I disagree. But that's why you probably shouldn't have Electoral College, because they're not bound to vote as.
Right. They've rarely done it, but you had 1800 election, Rutherford Hayes and some other guy. And the other guy won the most votes total, but not enough. Neither one of them got 50%. And you had, it was originally going to be thrown, I think, to the House of Representatives, maybe. And you had a committee of politicians got together, and you had a whole big deal.
Oh, it was a backstabbing. He won the election.
Shenanigans went on.
Shenanigans. That was the one that was thrown. Yeah. That was really thrown.
It was Hayes won through Shenanigans. They had, if I remember correctly, you had this commission. You had a judge who was neutral, bunch of Democrats, bunch of Republicans from Congress. And they were going to pick the president, or they were going to decide which state delegation would represent the state. And the judge was known to be a very impartial guy. Good chance he was going to go with Tilden. And the thing is, Hayes's people complained about the southern states.
Yeah.
And they said that
Tilden.
Tilden did. I'm sorry.
Samuel J. Tilden was his opposition.
Yeah, and I forget. I think it was Tilden.
So he lost the popular vote to Tilden, but won in a disputed electoral college.
Yeah, the thing was, I believe it was Hayes who said that the delegates picked from the southern states were not fair.
Yeah, he said, because he told him he'd end U.S. military involvement in the southern politics. And
so you had two slates of candidates in a couple of these southern states. I think there was 3 or 4, and Hayes's pledged candidates were not. They weren't from the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know how to put this exactly, but you had Tilden's popularly elected. They won the electric vote.
Yes,
but they won the popular vote in the state, but they weren't representative. It was claimed of all the people because blacks couldn't vote.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
that was the
racial. Yeah. The race.
Okay. Now, the judge who was picked to actually make the decision was a strong defender of the Constitution. He would have likely gone with the Constitution and say, I'm sorry, guys, Tilden won the popular vote. He gets those state delegates. But the judge was offered a job by the Democrats. Mm-hmm. Democrats came along to the judge and say, hey, Mr. Judge, how would you like to be, I don't know, this person, state judge in charge, double your salary. How'd you like to have this neat little job? And the judge thought about 5 minutes and said, you know what, I think maybe, yes, I'll take your job. And then the next person who was picked to make the decision favored Hayes. And that's how Hayes won. But that was shenanigans.
Yeah, that clearly a rig. The one time we had a rigged election.
Now, did you know? You're a history buff.
Okay.
Know that. Who was the architect of the electric college? Did you know who that was?
Could you say it again? You got the internet wonked on you when you were talking.
You're not hearing me properly?
Yeah, the internet froze up for a second.
Okay.
Can you say it again?
Okay. Who was the architect of the Electoral College? Who was the individual? Who was the famous American?
I want to say Jefferson, but I think it's Hamilton, right?
No. It's our friend, the very underrated James Madison.
Madison. Oh man, I gotta go see his house. He's not very far from me.
And what Madison said was, Madison argued against an interested and overbearing majority and the mischiefs of faction in the electoral system. He defined a faction as a number of citizens, whether amounting to a majority or minority of the whole, who are united and actuated by some common impulse of passion or interest, adverse to the rights of other citizens and to the permanent and aggregate interest of the community. So that's why he was the one who suggested the electoral college system. States, again, 50 elections, not one. That was our friend James Madison.
Because he didn't think the general population could make a choice.
He didn't judge them all. Well, Trump maybe kind of proving him right. I don't know. But I would like to see.
We'll know. And can we talk about your point 4 here? If Clinton wins, what will that mean for gender equality?
Okay. What do you think it'll mean?
I think.
No, wait a second. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, because I'm hearing a wash of some sort. But okay, don't worry about it. As long as you can hear me clearly.
Well, it comes in and out. So if I lose you, I'll ask you to repeat it if you could.
Okay, go ahead. What will it mean to gender equality if Clinton wins?
It'll be the biggest glass ceiling in the United States to be broken. But just like racism did not go away with the election of Obama, gender biased misogyny, sexism is still out there, and you could see it being played out in this election. I'm not saying all people who support Trump or anything. I'm far from it, because there's a lot. There could have been a lot of better female candidates running for office than Hillary, but I just think the vitriol that was shown during the debates would have a man been as, I guess he would have been as mean to another man, but I just think it's just demeaning in a way. But that's just my 2 cents. That's my take on it.
Okay. Now, I am concerned about this, my mic, because I have it. Is it any clearer? I can hear a little wash sound.
Hold on, let's see.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Clearly. Not robot voice.
Well, every once in a while I'll get robot voice.
It's just my mic.
It's the connection, I think.
And what I did was I switched to the earbuds from the clunky headset. And maybe that's the problem. I'm gonna, all right. Let me see.
I just think it's the internet connection, because I can hear you, but then it freezes up. So that's not your equipment. I think it's the computer. I don't know.
Can you hear me better? I'm still hearing a wash when I talk.
I can hear you the same.
So there's no change.
No change. Maybe it's me. Now I've lost sound on you. I can't even hear you now. I've lost your sound altogether. Maybe it's my door. Maybe if I close the door. I think you're on mute. All right, try it now. Nope, I still can't hear you. Tell you what, why don't we have a short election night coverage, Ed? And now you're all frozen. So it's not the headset. Can you hear me? Nope, still can't hear you. I don't know. Maybe this is the internet gods telling us we've had enough time.
Yeah.
I think something's unplugged. It's got to be. Or maybe the mic is in your earbuds. Well, shoot. Hmm. We get